such libraries, we have to import the libraries and use the libraries. We need to keep all our libraries in a module and configure them in a module. Through the modules, we can access and use them. We can access and use them. That we will discuss in a concept called modules, how actually we create the modules and configure the modules. In a separate session, we will discuss about that, how to create and configure the modules. It is very important. It is very important to work with modules. We have two options. We have modules and we have namespaces. We have to use any one of these in order to handle them. That is a separate approach we need to follow. There are two techniques for that. I will tell you both the techniques, how we can define that and how we can access and use them, right? How to configure and use them. So, but initially you should know that. So how we can access from a separate file, right? Let's create in a module type so that it is easy to access and configure them, right? For that, how the declaration should be, I will tell you. How the declaration should be, how we can configure and how we can access them and use them in other locations. Actually, you are defining anything in a particular file. Suppose this I product is defined in a separate file and you are importing it. And important is any file, any component that you declared in a file is having a scope of that particular file only. You cannot access it outside that file. If you want to access anything outside that file, outside the file, then it is very important that you have to mark it with export. We have to mark with export. Export allows this particular component to be accessible outside this file. By default, any component that you have defined is accessible only within that file. If you want it to access outside the file, then you have to configure as export. Now you can see the problem is solved. Later, I will tell you how to declare modules and configure the modules. Here, only one important point is any member that you declared inside a file is accessible only in that file. If you want to access any component outside the file, then you have to mark it as export. Once you mark as export, you can import and you can use it anywhere you want, in any file you want. Just you have to keep the path in a correct way. Now I'm accessing it, I'm defining it here, and I'm compiling and running this now. So that is node app.js, and you can see it can print those details and handle them. This time we are maintaining our contracts in a separate location. That means the contracts are separated from their implementations. They're cleanly separated. Whenever you want to work with the contract, we can go into that file and we can work with the contract, right? Now, similarly, we can import. Remember, a contract can have multiple interfaces, and you can import all those interfaces by using comma or by using asterisk. Asterisk also allows you to import all of them. But for that, we need module reference. I will tell you. When we discuss modules, we will learn about that. Initially, we have I product. Okay, how to implement another one, category. Suppose I want to implement the category also, then here I will use import. Import, it has to import from which location? Same, .. / contracts. In the contracts, I category. So, and from there I have to import I category interface. But here important is it is not yet available because we have to mark it as export. When you mark it as export, now it is accessible outside. And very important is now this product, this tv.product, I am using a union of types. I am using I category also as an implementation for that. And here I am defining a property category name, and it is a string type. So that means I will define the category name as suppose electronics. Electronics. That is how we are configuring. We are configuring. And implementation is fine, but it is showing some error saying that it is not exists. It doesn't exist. Name doesn't exist. Price doesn't exist. I am using another option $n, and we defined as TV dot category name. We are printing that category name. It is saying that it doesn't exist. All these doesn't exist. And I will compile and run this. I will compile and run this. It will showing an error saying that name, price, all are not there. So I will still forcibly node. So I will compile that app.js, and you can see it is printing. Why it is showing, why it is printing? Because the point is, it is saying that name is not correct, price is not correct, category is not correct. Category is not correct. It is showing those points here, but still it is printing category is equal to, it's not correct. Why? Because actually, if you are trying your contracts in this way, actually our Visual Studio intention is to tell that this is not the right way of implementation. This is not the right way of implementation. Okay, it is working fine. It shows an error. So it shows an error means it is saying that this is not the right way of implementing an interface. But still, as a developer, we know that it will work. Then we forcibly compile and run it. Then what is the right way of implementing like this? The right way of implementing these interfaces is nothing but, already we know, we can create one interface which can extend both of them. Am I right? That means here we can create an interface. We can create an interface. So this interface is a product type interface. And this product type interface can extend both of them. That means it can extend both of them. What it is doing? It is extends. Which one it is extending? It is extending I product, and comma, it is extending I category. And we will make this TV of what type? TV of product type. If we define TV as product type, that means it has to extend all the members. We have to configure all these members. And remember, when you are implementing and configuring the members, and you cannot directly use this type of reference, always it is recommended to implement the contracts not by using a contract. Always it is recommended to implement the contracts by using a class. This is where we have to learn the concept of class, right? That means the contracts should not be directly configured. We just understood this approach to know about contracts, but this is not the right way for contracts. Then how do we implement the contracts, and how do we use the contracts? And what is the right way of configuring the contracts? So we have to use the keyword. We have to use a class. We have to use a class. Through the class, we have to not extend. We have to implement those contracts. After implementing the contracts, we have to define the functionality for them inside the contract, and we can use them and configure them. That is the approach that we need to follow in future. That is the reason. So you will face always the issue of union types. When you try union types, it shows an error. Then how to correctly implement that? For that, we need to create the classes, implement them, and later use them. This is why we are going to the concept of class now. Why we are going to the concept of class? The contracts are created, but they are not ready to be implemented. Contracts need to be implemented, then they should be used if you want to use multiple contracts for any component. Otherwise, if you use the pipe symbols, that means union of types, it will not allow to do so, because implementation of multiple contracts in that way is not allowed. But forcibly you can compile and run it, it will work, but it is not recommended in a coding strategy. That's the reason that is not the right way. So that's the reason we need to learn about class. What is a class? What is the purpose of the class? We will see. But before that, this example you can try in this way till up to this point. What you can do? You can simply put one is I product and pipe symbol